From the Private Case Journal of Inspector Edmund Vale, West Riding Constabulary, October 1891. I begin this account not with the expectation that it shall be believed, but with the hope that, should any man of reason find himself summoned to Black Hollow, he will turn back before the church road dips beneath the pines. I was sent there on the 3rd of October, after the discovery of 3 bodies on the moor above the village. The telegram was brief, almost insolently so. 3 dead, mutilated, no suspect. Come at once. I had investigated murders before. Men poisoned for inheritance, wives strangled in bed, infants drowned in wash basins by mothers gone mad with hunger. I had seen what man could do to man. But Black Hollow was the first place where I wondered if it was man at all. The village lay in a valley of black firs and wet stone cottages, all huddled beneath the ruins of an old Norman watchtower. I arrived near dusk, and from the moment my carriage crossed the bridge, I felt eyes upon me. Curtains stirred, doors closed. Even the dogs did not bark. They only whined and crept beneath carts. Constable Harrow met me outside the inn. He was a broad fellow, but pale beneath his beard. With a tremor in his hands, he tried to hide by gripping his lantern. "Inspector Vale," he said, "you'd best see them before nightfall." The first body belonged to Matthew Greaves, a shepherd of 50 years. He had been found in the lower pasture, or rather portions of him had. His left arm lay 15 yards from the torso. His throat had been opened so violently that the spine showed white in the wound. The ribs were cracked outward, as if something had forced its way into him and fed. I noted claw marks in the mud, 5 to each print, too large for any hound, too deep for a man's hand. The second victim, Eliza Moorcroft, had been found near the chapel gate. She had managed somehow to crawl nearly 20 paces after the attack. Her fingernails were broken from dragging herself over the stones. On the chapel door, written in her blood, were 3 letters. W-O-L. She had died before finishing the word. The third was a boy of 16, Thomas Wren. His body had been lifted into the branches of an ash tree, not thrown, placed. His face had been bitten away. I asked Harrow if there were wolves in these parts. He stared at me as though I had asked whether the moon still rose. "No wolves in England, sir. Not for centuries." That night I questioned the villagers in the taproom of the Lamb and Bell. None would meet my eye for long. They spoke of strange howls in the wood, of sheep found skinned, of shadows moving upright along the ridge. One old woman, Mrs. Clegg, pressed a silver crucifix into my palm and told me the beast had come before. "When the moon grows fat," she whispered, "and a wicked man forgets his own face." I dismissed this as superstition. Fear fattens every shadow. Yet I confess, in my notes from that evening, I wrote the following line: "There is a smell in this village, like wet fur and old blood." On the second night, another murder occurred. The victim was Reverend Pyle. He had locked himself inside the church after sunset. We found the door still bolted from within. The windows were unbroken. Yet the Reverend lay across the altar in ruin, his cassock shredded, his chest torn open, his Bible soaked black beneath him. There were prints in the spilled blood. Not paws, not boots, something between. I examined the vestry and discovered a narrow passage behind the hymn boards, leading down into the crypt. The villagers claimed no knowledge of it, though I suspected this was a lie. In the dust below I found scratches upon the stone walls, some old, some fresh. Deep grooves, gouged by nails or claws. At the far end of the crypt lay a rusted iron door. It had been forced open from the inside. On the floor nearby, I found a scrap of torn cloth, fine wool, dark green, the same material worn by Squire Alistair Fenwick, the wealthiest man in Black Hollow. Fenwick lived at the manor above the village, a grim house with tall windows and chimneys like black fingers. I visited him the next morning. He received me in his study, dressed impeccably, though his face was drawn and grey. He claimed to know nothing of the murders, claimed he had been ill in bed. Yet while he poured my tea, I noticed his right hand was bandaged. "A riding injury," he said before I asked. There was mud on his boots, though no rain had fallen since my arrival. Dark mud, churchyard mud. I asked if I might speak with his servants. He smiled thinly. "They have all left me, Inspector. Country people are easily frightened." As I rose to depart, I saw upon his desk a book bound in cracked brown leather. The title was in Latin, but inside were illustrations of men changing into beasts beneath the moon. One passage had been marked with a ribbon. I copied the translation into my notes. "The afflicted shall walk as man by day, yet by moon shall become hunger-clothed in hair. Silver alone may wound the curse. Death alone may end it." I still did not believe. Not fully. Reason is a stubborn candle. It burns even when the darkness has already filled the room. That evening, I returned to the inn and prepared to wire Leeds for assistance. But the telegraph line had been cut. At 7 o'clock the moon rose. It was enormous, yellow as a diseased eye. The howling began shortly after, not from the moor, from within the village. Men barred their doors. Women prayed aloud. Somewhere glass shattered. Then came a scream so sudden and terrible that I ran into the street with my revolver drawn. Constable Harrow joined me, carrying a shotgun loaded, he said, with silver shot melted from communion plate. I would have mocked him the day before. That night I only nodded. We found the blacksmith's door hanging from one hinge. Inside, the forge fire still glowed. The blacksmith himself was pressed into the corner, dead, his hammer still clutched in both hands. His head had been twisted completely backward. Then something moved above us, a scraping along the roof. Harrow raised his lantern. The light caught two eyes at the edge of the thatch. They were not animal eyes. That was the horror of them. Behind the yellow glare lived a human intelligence, hateful and aware. It dropped into the street before us. I cannot properly describe the size of it. Taller than any man, yet bent forward, with long arms ending in black claws. Its body was covered in coarse dark hair matted with blood. Its muzzle steamed in the cold air. Strips of clothing still clung to its limbs. Green wool torn at the seams. Fenwick. God help me. It was Fenwick. Harrow fired first. The blast struck the creature in the shoulder. It howled, a sound that seemed to tear open the night itself, and staggered back. Black blood smoked where the silver entered. Then it sprang. Harrow was dead before I could shout. The beast opened him from throat to belly with one sweep of its claws. His lantern fell and broke, spilling flame across the mud. I fired my revolver. Once, twice, 3 times. The bullets struck but did nothing. The beast turned toward me, lowering its head. I saw human recognition in its face. Worse than that, I saw amusement. I ran. I make no attempt to paint myself brave. I fled through the burning street while the thing pursued me, its claws striking sparks from the stones. I reached the church and threw myself inside, barring the door. For several seconds there was silence. Then came a knock, one slow knock, then another. I backed away from the door, shaking so violently I could barely hold my pistol. The silver crucifix Mrs. Clegg had given me still lay in my coat pocket. I took it out. When the door burst inward, I was standing before the altar. The beast filled the entrance, breathing hard, its fur bristling in the moonlight. It advanced slowly, savoring me. I waited until it lunged. Then I drove the crucifix into its left eye. It screamed. We crashed into the pews. Its claws tore across my chest. I felt heat, then wetness, then nothing but terror. The crucifix sank deeper. Smoke poured from the wound. The creature thrashed, smashing wood, stone, bone. At last it collapsed. By dawn, the villagers found me on the steps to the altar and the naked body of Squire Alistair Fenwick. His left eye was burned black. His mouth was full of blood. Not mine. Not entirely. The official report states that Fenwick, afflicted by madness, committed the murders with iron claws of his own design. It states that Constable Harrow died in the line of duty. It states that I sustained injuries while apprehending the suspect. That is the report. These notes are the truth. I write them now from my room in Leeds Infirmary. The physicians say I shall recover, though they cannot explain the fever that comes each night, nor the hair found beneath my fingernails, nor why the wounds across my chest refuse to heal. This morning, I asked the nurse the date. She told me it was the 17th of October. The next full moon is in 3 nights. I have requested chains for my bed. They think me delirious. Perhaps I am. But when the sun sets, I can hear things beyond the hospital walls. Rats beneath the floor. Blood moving in the veins of men passing in the corridor. The heart of the nurse when she leans close to change my bandages. It beats so loudly, so warmly. I pray these notes are found before the moon rises, and I pray whoever finds them brings silver.
Some horrors are not defeated. They are buried, filed away, locked in parish cabinets and forgotten rooms, waiting for some poor soul to open the record again. If you enjoyed this tale, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more folklore horror, forgotten legends, and dark accounts from places where the old stories still breathe. Until the next case, keep the lantern lit, you beautiful, creepy people.